What's up, man? How you doing, Keith?
Man, honestly, man, all is blessed, bro. Can't even complain. How's everything going your way?
It's going, man. I mean, it's a lot of stuff happening, and I wanted to make sure, that we had young people's voices leading. I mean, that's what we do here at Energy Converters, and I just want to tell the people real quick before we get started, like, you know, I told you this like on super short notice, and Keith was able to put together an amazing group of young people. Right now is the time we need to be listening to young folks, and we need to know what they thinking, what they feeling, how well we're doing or failing, and just how they're experiencing this. So, Keith, I just wanted to show you that love and appreciate you, man. Your voice here in Oakland and what you do with kids, especially young Black kids, but everybody. You're an amazing teacher at KIP, a content creator. Your movie is on Netflix right now. Can you tell people the name of the movie?
All right, so the movie is called All Day and a Night.
Mm-hmm.
And, I got like a good little speaker role in there. Pretty much my character name is Murphy.
That's what's up.
I'm excited about it. So everybody, y'all go check it out whenever y'all available.
And you just been amazing for me here at Energy Converters, man. So I appreciate you putting this together. You ready to bring the young folks in?
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
All right, man. Well, why don't you introduce Zaria? Just tell us who she is.
All right, so Zaria first of all, Zaria is an amazing scholar. She's actually one of my original 7th graders from when I started. When I first got into the classroom, I was teaching at a school called Tinley in Indianapolis, Indiana, under the leadership of Miss Kelly Marshall. And Zaria was one of those scholars where just her writing style, everything she wrote was just like above her grade level. And it's just like, it was a struggle as a teacher with me being a first year teacher. Like, how do I push this scholar so that she's growing as well too? Because most of the assignments that I gave her, like she was knocking them out the park. So Miss Zaria, I'm glad that you're able to join.
Hi, Zaria.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. And let me bring in this next young brother, Jayden Cummins. Y'all have seen a lot of him. He's been, aside from doing stuff with Barbara Lee and this office and getting this grant and inventing stuff and iBlinko and all these things, man. He's been one of all of my scholars are amazing that we have at Energy Converters, but his leadership, just his strength, man, and his courage. I love it. He goes to the school that I went to. He's at Emory High, and he's brilliant. And I love this kid. I love him like he's my little brother. And he just works, man. And anytime I call on him, he's there. And he's leading some of the most important work that touches my heart, the A through G research. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce Jayden Cummins. How you doing, Jayden?
Doing well.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a tough time out there in these streets right now, but we want to make sure that we listen to young people. And then we got one more young person. And Zion, get ready. I need you to have your picture ready, brother. But go ahead and introduce him, and I'll bring him on.
All right, so Zion Taylor, he's one of my original 5th graders from when I first joined KIP Bridge Academy in Oakland, and I actually was blessed with the opportunity of actually moving up a grade level with him. So not only was I his 5th grade teacher, but I was also his 7th grade social studies teacher as well too. Zion, he's like the definition of a scholar athlete. Basically, he does his thing in the classroom and he does his thing on the basketball court as well. He still can't get me on the court, but he definitely is making those strides and perfecting.
I mean, we don't have to get that hoop thing going. Jayden hoop too, man. So we might have to when we can all hang out together, man. We might need to make that happen. Zion, welcome, brother. How you doing, man?
Good.
You good? Okay, that's what's up. You got some headphones or something so we can hear you and you don't sound like you're in a different room.
With the basketball jersey on.
It's all good, man. Well, however we can get you, brother. So, Keith, I'm going to let you do a lot of leading, and I'm actually going to take myself off and man most of these comments and produce. But I just wanted to start off by saying it's a lot happening in the world between COVID, between the protests, between our president. It's a lot of stuff happening, and I just want to go around the horn to these young people and just get your general reaction around how you're seeing what's happening and how you feeling? Zaria, let's start with you.
Oof. Okay. I guess seeing the protest, like I couldn't bring myself to watch the video of George Floyd being murdered because I thought that would just anger me a bit too much. So, but like I knew that he was murdered and all that, and when all the riots started happening and the protests, I was like, I wanted to be out there, but I'm not allowed to go outside just yet. But I wanted to do something for like to help my community because it was really making me upset that like centuries we're still being treated like this. Like people of color are still being treated like inferior to the white race. So yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna come. Oh, go ahead. Say it again.
So I was mostly enraged about it, but like I didn't really feel like I could do much.
That's what's up. And we got folks checking in on y'all. It's a bunch of eyes on you. I'm part of this pretty dope podcast called A Black Hands, and our team is watching and listening right now. He said, let's go, young people. They need this energy. So that's what's up, man. And somebody also mentioned just the trauma, just, you know, and thanking you for vocalizing your feelings. And we need more of that. Jayden, same question to you, man. How you feeling? You know what I mean? Talk to me, bro.
Yeah, these are very interesting times, man. So COVID-19 has been a humongous adjustment for me personally. All the programs I'm in, all the things I'm participating in are adjusting to that, including school, extracurriculars, you know, all sorts of programs. And then add on like some of the worst like race relations in the United States since like the 60s. And it's just it's chaos out here. So I mean, I'm feeling like I gotta come out here. I gotta say what I can. I gotta use my platform, and I gotta be here.
And brother, you definitely got a platform, man, and that platform is growing. You know, let's get to our young king Zion. How you feeling about everything, man? Let us know. Holla at us.
It's been a big adjustment. This is Corona. I'm not used to having something that bad happen like that, and you know, and trying to be more cautious of what I gotta do. You know, George Floyd. It just happens.
So we can't really hear you, but I want to just say for the people what he said, and if you can, like I said, either you got a good setup, brother. You look good, but we got to be able to hear you, fam. But he was basically saying it's really impacting him, and he was about to start talking about George Floyd. I'll bring you back on, brother, when you got your stuff rocking. But so people like Keith, you help bring these folks together, man. What do you want to know from these scholars?
So pretty much just going on, like I'm going to my feelings first. So like I'm actually angered by the situation because it's like just growing up from the South, like growing up in Georgia, like we deal with this stuff all the time. And it's not just the death of George Floyd just happened, but it's just like when you think about it, this has been going on for years. And it's like me as an educator, like how do we discuss this topic in schools? Like how do we teach our scholars about this? Like, am I even really preparing my scholars for the real world? How do we teach them about these things? I noticed like in middle school, they're missing out on experience. Like when I was in 8th grade, we was learning about the branches of government, how the branches of government work. But now I feel like a lot of my scholars are getting robbed of that because they're not being taught that now. So when they get into the real world, they're not even knowing what are their rights. So for my scholars, just pretty much how do you feel like these discussions can be brought up in your classrooms?
So I'll go first. How I feel is there's a lot of things I feel can be added into the school system, such as financial literacy, such as, you know, like more economics in the class and like money management. I like really emphasize. So, for example, in U.S. history, in my class, they started from 1850 and ended 2000. And during the class, like there'll be a lot of, there'll just be history. But what needs to be like encouraged more is to like show how that history is affecting us today. And, you know, they need to teach systematic racism and just show the statistics, show the pure statistics and how it's affecting brown and black people in every single field of life, education, wealth generation, in the criminal justice system. And they just need to just show how the system is today and compare it to back then.
Mm-hmm.
It just show how much has really changed. That's how I feel, honestly.
Yeah. I'm gonna get back to you, Jen, and I'm gonna just see what Zari has to say. Then I'm gonna actually respond to something that you brought up.
Okay, so I agree, but also I think that they shouldn't, like, in this, like, when we're learning about history, like you said, it's going from like 1850 ending to 2000. They touch on slavery and segregation, but like it's never gone into detail. And so like most of the important like aspects of it that people should know and need to know is always like just left out for whatever reason. So I feel like that, like most of the important facts that need to be known should be added in.
Exactly. And I'm about to hit on something, Jayden. You have brought up about money management. And that's something that I actually agree. And I've been following this guy named Dr. Claude Anderson. I've been following some of his work. And basically what he was saying was for us as a community to elevate from what we're being basically the things that have been done to us, we have to start building wealth in our communities. We have to start building wealth because as soon as we build wealth in our communities, that's when we can actually get the politicians to pretty much be on our favor, on our side when it comes to different policies and things like that. And as soon as we get those policies in place, going back to you, Zari, that's when we can actually better our education system. So therefore, we are in positions where we can say that, hey, our kids need to learn this, and therefore we can make sure that our people are knowledgeable of other things that are going on. And so I appreciate y'all for hitting all those topics. But also,
can I add something?
Yes, sir.
I completely agree with you. And what this society is built like for us, it's definitely a classist system for, you know, because we were slaves at one point.
Mm-hmm.
We never really got opportunities. And, you know, historically, it was shown every time we did get opportunities to build our wealth. For example, Tulsa, Oklahoma, they bombed Black Wall Street. Yeah. And it's just every time we had a chance to, I mean, we almost had a chance to like build that wealth. You know, they brought us down. And now we're in a situation where we don't have a livable minimum wage. So not only are we like, well, most of us, the average Black is in the bottom of society, but there's not a safety net to catch us. So what I mean by that is you don't have a livable minimum wage. There's employment discrimination. There's healthcare is being like, you know, destroyed in our communities. And it's a bunch of political stuff that's happening that is affecting us now. Also, like laws affecting us now, along with all the previous, like, you know, the consequences of slavery and Jim Crow and segregation. So it really is a shame. And I completely agree with you. Like, we need to build wealth.
Is there Zara, is there anything you want to add on to that?
No.
Gotcha. And that's the thing. I feel like we need to come together. I know we all know what the problem is. And like that is the solution, is basically building that wealth. And to be honest, it's like I'm one of those ones as well. They also talked about how a lot of times we have people, they'll grow up in a certain community, and then when they go off to college, it's like they just leave that community and never go back to give back to it. So that's also important as well too, making sure that we go to college, we gain that knowledge, and then we come back and give back to our community as well too. So basically we're gonna put Zion back in. Brother Zion.
Well, I was saying check in on him because he ain't got his camera up. So you might have to pop off and check in on him. I can take over for a little bit though.
Gotcha.
I got you. I'll pull you out. So one, I just appreciate y'all, man. And so you just spit some real facts, some real stuff, Jayden. Holla at us, man. It's the time that y'all can talk and give your thoughts to adults. And it's okay to say that you feel like if we failing y'all or whatever the case is. What has this time told you about our leadership, and what do y'all want to see adults doing different? Zaria, can we start with you? Or if you want some time, I can start with Jayden. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna need time to think about it.
All right, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, so the adults, there's a lot of things that I've seen. So, for example, the entire government, like I just mentioned, is structured in a very classist way, and I feel like the representatives have too much power. The people should have more power, as in, in terms of the criminal justice system. If 90% of the country think that George Floyd's murderer deserves a certain charge, but the police aren't willing to convict them for one way or another for that charge, or not convict them but charge them, that is a problem. I feel like the people need more power. Like we still need representatives in this country, but I feel like we need to give the people more power. It's shameful, honestly. It's sad at this point. Like I see thousands. Like I went to a protest on Friday in downtown, from Oakland Tech to downtown Oakland. I see thousands marching for the same thing, and it was an eye-changing moment. I seen people of all races marching for one thing, and just to push one message. And it's sad that we have to tell others about the obvious problems we're going through. And I'm sorry, but most conservatives, tend to blame us, for missing out on opportunities, or just say, get up on your own. But it's hard to do that when not only like the repercussions of slavery and Jim Crow and segregation are keeping us down, but also when we're down, we can't survive. Like it's literally like that. And also the color of our skin denies us jobs. Like also, again, police brutality is a disgusting thing that happens. And the entire educational system, which is a totally different topic. So it's a lot, all in all. Like it's so much the adults can do better.
I think that's an amazing answer, man. And just real quick, we got some comments. You getting a lot of love in the comments, Zaria. Just take your time. It's all good, but people want to hear from you. And I wanted to just thank and welcome. We have a few different Facebook streams, so we getting stuff from people from all those different streams. I wanted to welcome the people that's watching us on Twitter, and the other thousands of folks that's watching this and that's chiming in. And that's how it should be. You all should be the face of what's happening and what should be going on. So Zaria, however you want to address that question, and go wherever you need to go, right? But what do you think adults should be doing better for you right now?
I do feel like adults should be more open-minded, because like most of the adults in my life, they stick to what was taught to them growing up, and they're not really willing to open their minds to like new ideas from today's youth. So I feel like adults should be a lot more open-minded. Sorry, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. I don't talk much.
It's all good. I mean, look, we own this. We got as much time as you need. You know what I'm saying? That's the beauty of owning your own stuff, like Jayden was talking about, right? This ain't CNN. We ain't got to go to commercial. You take as much time as you need.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's look at some of these comments. So Ferris Jabber said, educators need to create platforms for youth to speak, exactly like how we're doing, and strategize solutions for better future. Also bring in community members to drop knowledge and engage kids, because as educators, we're part of the system of oppression and school to prison pipeline. We need to fight that and show our students that we stand allied with them and against the system of oppression. I mean, while you're getting your thoughts together, Zaria, let me just tell you a story about why Energy Converters exists. I went to the same school Jayden went to. I've been, hemmed up by the cops. I've had a gun pulled on me by police. I've been sat on the curb. I've been humiliated by those folks. I've been threatened by them. I've not felt like the police were here to serve me. I've not felt like I was safe if I had to call them for something. And this isn't something that's new for me. One of my mentors, Howard Fuller, who's a lot older than me, he was actually sitting in the ballroom where, not the ballroom, but the vicinity where Malcolm X gave the Ballad of the Bullet speech. He went through the same thing, and he was threatened by these people, and he was beat up by these folks for protesting and stuff like that. Like, this is not new things, and we just kind of repeating, history is repeating itself. What did it feel like for y'all when you saw that video of them on that man's neck, with a knee in his neck for 8.5+ minutes. Like, what did that feel like for you all? Jayden, let's start with you.
Again, I couldn't watch the full video. It's a disgusting act. It's murder. It's just straight murder. It's sick. I think all in all, it's just a sad situation, and that cop is completely wrong, and his coworkers were completely wrong and reacting in that way, which is doing nothing, which is compliance, which a lot of this country is doing right now, which is doing nothing, and that's not helping us at all. But yeah, it was a horrible thing. Right after the Ahmaud Arbery, I think his name is, situation, where he was hunted down and called the N-word. Like a riot was overdue. Riots, protests, uprising, that was overdue, honestly. Because this happens too often. It has happened too often, honestly.
Zaria, what about you? When you saw this video and you see everything happening, like what did that do to you?
Yeah, just seeing the picture, because I couldn't bring myself to watch the video. Just seeing the picture of the cop leaning on his neck, I was just like, that felt like a knife to the heart. Because I'm just thinking, what if that was my dad or my brother or something? And I'm just like, I wouldn't be able to handle that. And I already can't, even though I don't know him personally. Just it hurts. It hurts to see people of color being treated like that so many times.
You know, Jayden said something, and I want us to touch on it because there's a lot of people that's trying to change the narrative to us talking about everything but what happened. So they want to talk about looting and rioting and things burning or whatnot. One of the biggest goals of people that never want to have to deal with the problem is to change the narrative to talk about something else. So yeah, all these other things happen. They all pale in comparison to the murder that happened. And whoever got their phone on, turn off the sound, because we're gonna hear every ding right now ear. But they like every time they try to change it, you know, because if the talk is about, you know, looting and all this stuff, then we don't have to talk about the racist act that happened. So how should America stay focused on what actually happened in the goal? Marquise, let's start with you, brother. We want to hear your voice in this as well.
Yeah, to be honest, that just goes back to the that just goes back to the Kaepernick situation, where people think that like with the protests and riots, people think that anyone who is against racism or protesting against racism is thinking that they're disrespecting America or the American flag or whatever. But I just feel like we're like, some people are stuck trying to defend that case and try to keep the fact on what our mission is about the protest. But it's just like, we're protesting because we're disappointed about the police brutality, and it's just like, we just got to make sure that we transfer those conversations back on subject, because I myself fell a victim to that, basically falling in the subject of people rioting and people looting, and then the fact about breaking it down that some people are out there doing it for a reason, some people aren't. But it's just the fact about us making sure that we have that we're staying focused, because if we don't stay focused, then those are ways that other situations can slip away. For example, like, a lot of people are talking about the George Floyd situation, but we still haven't forgot about the situation where, I don't remember her name, but where they ran into the wrong spot and they killed her. And it's just like, because we're so focused on the rioting, like we just like forgot the fact that none of those officers has even been arrested.
Aria, how about you?
Can you restate the question, please?
Basically, there's this urge for people to change the narrative and talk about everything else except for the racism, the blatant racism that we've been kind of experiencing and what led to all of this malcontent. How do we stay focused on the actual topic?
I'm not sure if there's like one specific way to stay focused, because there's always going to be the ones that want to change everything. But the people who truly want to see change, like as long as there's just a few, there doesn't have to be a lot. As long as there's just a few that want to see change and like are doing things to go towards that change and staying focused themselves, and I feel like that's good enough.
All right. What about you, Jay?
Well, I feel for all the people and all the races who, agree that this situation was horrible and agree that Black Lives Matter. After this situation ends, there needs to be some sort of incentive for those people to, stay engaged and like, to help us get out this stuck position. And also, what also can help, and it's very sad, if our president was to acknowledge the existence of systematic racism and to say Black Lives Matter, that can change a lot, because it's a majority of his like followers who won't even acknowledge the problem. If you acknowledge the problem, that's step one. And it's sad that it's a very large percentage of this country that is straying away from the problem, going away from it, focusing on the looters, the rioters, and all that. And it's like they're missing the whole point. And it's just so sad. It's really depressing when I see the president tweeting about law and order 4 times in a row and talking about how he's gonna shoot people. And it's just like, bro.
So Jayden, how big of a role do you feel media plays in this?
Humongous. Sadly, a lot of people are led astray by the media. But I feel like, honestly, a lot of people were led astray before the situation. They was already like built up by some propaganda networks and stations. So getting them back getting them back to the point of reality where they see that these concepts exist is going to be very difficult, I feel like. But it's still worth trying for.
So just with y'all two being in high school, just the crowd of people that y'all are around, of course, like y'all two bright scholars, y'all know what's going on. But how do you get your peers and your classmates on the same page as you're on when it comes to these type of situations, to make sure that they're moving in a direction towards a solution, to make sure that we can elevate in situations like this?
That's a good question. Well, honestly, just relating to them, like, like this is an opportunity to change something. If you want to see change very soon, or if you just want to see change in general, like, just listen to me, listen to what I gotta say, and tell the adults to, listen to what you gotta say. Your opinion matters. A lot of students don't think, and a lot of just teenagers and youth in general don't think their opinion matters. Like mental health is a humongous problem in our communities, and just for youth in general. So that says a lot. But it's really just like encouraging them and then tapping in and just like making sure they don't, making sure we just don't give up on them. Like there's a lot of states in the educational system where it's like a kind of give up position where they're like, we're done with you, just not giving up on them, telling them that their opinion matters can be a huge change maker.
Okay, sorry.
I was trying to think about my group of friends personally. We're most of the time like already on the same page. We already agree that like our system is completely messed up and needs to be changed. So it's like it's not really like, for me, I don't really have to get us all on the same page, because we're already like, okay, something needs to be done, and we're all like, well, when we get old enough to vote and like potentially run for office and everything, like we're gonna do something to change our system and make it better.
Exactly. And I also look at it as who is everybody influenced by? Because I know a lot of people are into like the social media influencers. What do they have to say about the situation to make things go or whatever? But I just really feel like it's real big and important for everybody to organize and come together, regardless of what you do. just make sure that everybody is moving in the direction of towards the solution. It's just like the human body, for example. Like each organ in the body has a different job to do, but the whole mission is what? To keep your body alive. Or whether so like with an organization, it's like regardless of what you do, just making sure that everybody's on one accord, and so therefore we can get this mission handled. So with y'all coming up, how do y'all feel like when it comes to this? Is going to be y'all time of voting. So how do you feel? How important do you feel it is to vote, and how do you advocate this to your peers around you? Because I know a lot of times, like with the social media influence, a lot of people are saying that how they don't vote now and how basically the government is corrupt. You're basically voting for the lesser of evils. But how do you educate your peers and that around you on how important it is to vote?
I just pretty much tell them like it is. Like every vote matters. Like it doesn't matter if you think that the system is corrupt or whatever, and just like don't just give up and not do it just because like that's what you think. Still go and vote because you're able to. Like back when segregation was still legal, basically, when Black people weren't allowed to vote, and those people fought for our right to vote. So I don't think that you shouldn't vote just because you think that the system is corrupt. I think you still should, because now you're able to, and your voice matters.
Yeah. Jayden?
So I agree. Yeah, your voice matters. You should vote. And what people often forget is, there's not just voting at the federal level for president. Like that's what a lot of people forget. And that there's Congress people you can vote for, senators, local mayors, governors. There's all sorts of things to vote for. And that's what people need to understand. And that needs to be, like also educated in school. Something, like even though I'm not going to be able to vote for this election because I'm not going to be 18 in, if I was to, I would not know exactly where to start, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like that's a problem, I feel like. But yeah, just encouraging everybody to vote can be, it could be a game changer, man. And like letting them know that there's multiple things to vote for, because it's like everybody's like, oh, we're choosing the less between two evils. And even though that's probably true for the president, there's still Congress people who means well. There's still mayors who mean well around your community who can make a huge difference. So that's why, yeah, it's very important for people to understand that.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I wanted to ask you all, a few days ago, I saw a young person tweet. It was two different young people, and they put on social media two things, and it hurt my heart, actually. It was a young Oakland student said, they were talking about the uprising, and they said, Oakland never stands up for itself, and that hurt my feelings because they live in Oakland and they didn't know about the Black Panthers. And then the second one that killed my heart, where they said white people never act like this, like they never go out and do whatever. And it hurt because, one, these are young people that live in Oakland. Two, they are 19 and 20 years old, respectively, and they went through their full educations here. And three, schools are not teaching Oakland kids. Everybody should learn about the Black Panthers for one, but especially Oakland kids. Where you teach at, the soil that you teach at, Marquise. Like Huey P. Newton went to that school. He went to when it was still Lafayette. Like I went to that school, right? But also I did this video that just did 6 instances where white people got fed up about some stuff and they took it in blood and they won. Like they uprose, they took over the governments and they won. How do you feel that your education is actually informing you about the history of this country and also placing Black history, your history, showing you greatness? Like, do you feel like those things are happening? And Zaria, I want to start with you. Do you feel like your education is doing that for you?
Not at all. No, because there's so many things that I've learned like after after I've gone through my history class, there is new things that I've learned, and I'm just like, wait a minute, what? Like, I was never told this. Like, when did this happen? So it's just like, okay, wait, why wasn't I taught this? Because this is important to me and like my history, me as a black female. So I'm just like, okay, why didn't you teach me this? So I don't think
how does that make you feel? Like when you learn that, how does that make you feel? And go there. Don't censor yourself. Don't worry about these cameras. Talk like you talking to one of your homies. We don't censor young people.
Okay. It's very upsetting. I'm just like, okay, so you guys just want to like censor it, like censor the things that was really happening, like raw history. You want to censor that just because like of what you think is better for us to learn. Bullshit.
There you go. Get them emotions out, right? Like let's talk about, because this is the thing, right? This is why what happens, right? We have been trained, we have been taught to censor ourselves, and the school censors what we learn and what we talk about. But what happens is when you don't know who you are, when you don't get the real stuff and you learn it and you see these injustices happen, you might want to go bust a window. You might want to go do some stuff or be mad and get that rage out, right? It adds to it. So if we actually build out the appropriate release valves for students and people and all these folks to actually have a real place to process this stuff, maybe we wouldn't respond in these type of ways. So listen, when we build energy converters, and I say this all the time, I'm not trying to recruit you. I'm not your teacher. I'm not giving you a grade. I am finding partners in the work in this struggle. That's what I'm doing, right? So when I work with Jayden, I don't tell him like, yo, you get a grade for this, whatever. I'm like, yo, man, I'm treating you just like a peer. I talk to Jayden the same way I talk to Marquise, because one, I respect you and I respect what you got to say, and I know that life is just different for us. And two, I need riders, man. Like, and in the streets, they're not gonna treat Jayden like a child. When Jayden gets pulled over, when these police officers come up on him, when they look at black and brown kids older, treat them as if they're older. And they do it with our girls, and they do it with our boys. So you don't get seen at as a girl or a boy. You get seen at as a young woman and as a young man, which means that Jayden's life is in danger when he comes up against these people. It means how Zaria gets treated is going to be more harsh than her white counterpart, because they see that white counterpart as a child and her as a woman. So
can I add into that, Charles, as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's just like, to be honest, I feel like even from my school experience, it's like us as Black, we're taught our failures. We're taught about slavery. We just talk about all the bad things that happened to us. And then when we get into the European section, they glorify all their accomplishments, the Romans and all this other stuff like that, but they don't never talk about our achievements and like where we came from. And then even with Black Wall Street, like, bro, to be honest, bro, I salute you, because I didn't even find that out until I got to college. I attended a HBCU in Georgia, and that's really where I unlearned some of the things that was taught to me in high school. So it's just like, now we're in the era of knowledge. Y'all have social media where y'all could go on whoever's page and figure things out. But from where I'm from, like a little small town, Warner Robins, Georgia, dealing with racism out there, we definitely were not taught these things. And as I got older, I'm angry about it. Even as a teacher, I'm angry about it, because I see how social studies is really not taught like that in school now. It's kind of more of a ELA style. Like, Zaria, when I was your teacher, I was a humanities teacher. Basically, I'm just teaching you how to write, but not necessarily going in detail about the information that I'm teaching. So yeah, Chuck, I definitely feel you on that when it comes to how angered we are when it comes to how we are poorly educated in that area.
And I'm gonna have something to say to the educators that's out there. But Jayden, I want to get your feelings on that same question. How does it make you feel to know that you're not getting all of your history, to know that you're not getting the full story, and that you got to go learn a lot of this stuff on your own?
It really is really sad, because it's like I see people in my class, like, you know, like with the same level as me, same intelligence, same passion, but they just didn't get it like I got it, if you know what I mean. They just didn't go out their way to research it, or they didn't get like, you know, they didn't have their mom put them into a program. Like my mom put me into some, you know, pro-Black programs that taught me a lot of stuff that I know today. So it's really sad that, you know, you see people who are like, who you know can be at their best and can be so much different. If only the education was just different, if you know what I mean. It really messes me up, and it's like that weighs on me, honestly, because it's really sad seeing that. It's really sad seeing, you know, the different directions we are going. Like I'm going to college most likely, and they're going, you know, they're in the pipeline. So it's shameful, but you know, I feel like teaching us our history should be mandatory, and yeah, it should be mandatory. It really pisses me off. And I'm blessed enough to go to Emory High, which is, you know, I have an English teacher named Mr. Green. Shout out to him. He taught me my history in English class. So I mean, people like that saving me, honestly. So in history class, U.S. history, I learned that much about, you know, Black successes. But in English, I was learning a lot. So I was messing with that. So
and Jayden, what's the, you know, I talk to y'all. If I don't teach you one thing, the one term that I always push on you, do you remember this term? I'm gonna ask you to define it. Starts with an A. What is it?
I know it means responsibility.
It's agency, right?
Yeah, I know responsibility. Yeah.
And so, you know, one of those things is where you got to take ownership of your own learning, which we should not have to ask students to do. We shouldn't have to ask you to do that, right? But you said something, and I see it's a few Black moms that's watching, right? I know Misty, I know Amber, I know Kenesha, I know a bunch of these people that are Black moms, right? And I want to shout them out. So say a little bit more about what your mother did to make sure that you was a little bit more prepared than what you just described for your friends. Like, let's give a shout out to these Black parents that's actually going the extra mile. So talk to us about what your mom does, and Zaria will come to you after that.
Yeah, my mom, I get the passion from my mom. I get the drive from her. So she looked out for me. She looked out for, like, as a kid, for what I was interested in, what I wasn't interested in, and what was working for kids similar to me. Like, you know, talking to her friends, seeing what was working for their kids, and then, you know, she found like a few programs and put me in there, and that led to me being a person that I'm just so happy to be, because I could already like feel myself like being different if I didn't have those, you know, programs. So, you know, like a Black mom who's aware of you know, like where her child is at socially, I feel like that is just like an amazing thing, honestly. And that's what my mom is skilled at, and I love her for that.
That's what's up. Shout out to the moms, you know what I'm saying? And to the Black dads that's out there doing their thing too. Black parents, baby. It's all you. Zaria, talk to me. I don't know what role your parents are playing in your development, or just, you know, going to college or whatever, but tell us about, you know, the extra stuff your parents might have you doing.
Yeah, my mom is always going the extra mile. She was always putting me in programs. So I was always we have a place called Center for Leadership Development here, where it's different programs like empowering. They mostly focus on Black youth, empowering Black youth to like learn entrepreneurship, different things like that. So my mom would put me in that and be like, okay, you're not going to be just another girl on a corner, like working a corner. You're going to learn your history, learn it the right way, and you're going to make something of yourself. And she always made sure that I knew, like, straight up what was going on in the world. She didn't sugarcoat anything.
Mm-hmm. And she will come in that classroom and sit down and see what the teacher is teaching. Bro, it was plenty of times her mother came in my classroom and sat in the back and filled out the same notes and everything with the rest of the class. So she definitely making sure that the teacher is doing what they're supposed to be doing and the school is doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I salute your mother for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, so you're a teacher, Keith. Like, talk to us about, you know, and you do a lot of trainings with parents, and you have a lot of real talk sessions. You know, give these people what you talk to those parents about, because I think those things are impactful, and I think that's why those parents trust you.
I just really feel like we shouldn't trust the school system to educate our children. We should be educating our children at home or finding resources to.
And you saying that as a teacher?
Yes, to enhance their education, because it's plenty of times where I feel like the rigor is not there. We're really not pushing our kids to the maximum ability that they can perform at. I feel like there's some teachers that, yes, they have good intentions, but they're just giving our kids excuses and not giving them the tools to achieve. It's like basically showing more sympathy than empathy. Like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but these are the steps that we're going to take to overcome it. And so I just advise any parents is making sure that y'all are on top of it, even when it comes to the grades. Don't just necessarily just look at, oh, my child has an A, they have a B, but just make sure that your child actually understand what's going on in that classroom. Because I feel like college, like this is the picture that we paint. To and through college is the mission. That's what we tell kids. Oh, go to college, go to college. But it's like me, Charles, it's like me giving you a map to Atlanta and I tell you to go to Chicago, but it's just like I never give you the right tool to get to where you need to go. So therefore, we're telling these kids to go to college. So we need to equip them with our daily lessons and also with the disciplines that they're going to witness when they get to college. So therefore, we are setting them up for success, not setting them up for failure. And when I'm in my classroom, I don't just look at just one scholar. Oh, this is a scholar that I feel like is going to go to college. I look at all of them like, yo, I want all of y'all to make it. So therefore, I'm going to give y'all that rigorous instruction, and regardless if you like me or not. But at the end of the day, when you get older and look back, you're like, oh, Mr. Evans, he expected high from me.
And let me give y'all some game, both to Zaria and Jayden. I'm gonna keep it all the way real with you. And I love Emory High. I love it. I give back to it. I spend extra money and time to make sure Emory had a program because it wasn't part of the Oakland threshold, right? Even though 50% of those students are Oakland kids. But I left with a 3.83. And when I got to college, I was remedial everything. Like, it doesn't make sense that I was in an AP English class and got A's. And then I got to college and didn't know what a thesis was and had to be remedial. It didn't make sense that I got A's in all my math classes and had to take remedial classes. Y'all know what remedial classes are?
No.
All right. So remedial classes normally, and they're trying to change it in California and catch it early because it's expensive. But you take an entrance exam when you get into college, and it's to place you and make sure that you are proficient at college level English, language arts, or college level math. And so I took that test and I failed it. And a lot of Black kids failed it, right? And most of us graduated in the top 10 percentile of our schools. And so I do this lesson I did this with Marquise's parents, the students that came in. A grade does not mean proficient in these failing ass schools. And so when I see people like Kanisha and Misty and Amber, like, I will say this to the other Black parents, you got to be ready with them hands for these schools that's supposed to be teaching your baby shit and they not doing what they need to do. So one of the things that I taught Jayden and all of our energy converters is how to check their own A through G, like how to check it on their own. Like, that's not something that they should have to do. And I just want to recap what y'all have said, because this is really important. So here are the things that schools are not teaching you that y'all mentioned: finance, entrepreneurship, emotional intelligence, true Black history, how America was truly built, and proper mental health. These are things that our schools are not teaching us. Here's the things that parents have to do outside of the system or concurrent with the system, right? 1, extracurricular activities, mentorship, finding people and building relationships with these schools and with these teachers. 1, either so you can get what you need from them, or when it's time to come up there and put a foot where it's supposed to go. And 3, the last thing is, don't trust these systems alone. Listen, we do the A through G, and you probably don't know what that is, Zaria, because you're in a different state. A through G are the requirements that students need to pass so they can get into one of the largest public college systems in the country.
College prep.
Yeah, it's college prep classes. Y'all got a different name for it, I'm sure, in Indy, right? But when you trust the system alone, in our traditional public school system in Oakland, schools are around what percentage of it, Jayden, when you was doing the research? Where were these schools at? How many out of 10 Black students, how many were graduating having met these requirements?
I think it was around 40%.
Around 40%.
Yeah.
Exactly. About 4 out of 10 kids that are graduating. Not out of all. 4 out of 10 of the Black kids that are actually graduating in these schools, only 4 of them can even finish the college application because of their A through G. That's what happens when we trust these systems alone. So now that we had this systemic conversation around police, around racism, around education, around finances, right? Because Jayden talked about these people are scraping at the bottom, right? Like it's a lot of things happening. You know, we're coming up at the top of the hour. Tell me, what do you want to leave people with? And take your time with it or whatnot. I'll give y'all a moment. I'm gonna start with Marquise. So, and then I'm gonna go to you, Jayden, and then Zaria. Let's lead these people with your real thoughts and real feelings. Go wherever you need to go, because we own this space. We own this time. We own this platform. And if you don't get it all out today, don't worry, we can do it again. All right, we can do it as much as you want. We should be doing it every week or more, multiple times a week. So, what do you want to lead these people with, Marquise?
One, I'm gonna do it for the parents, for the students, for the parents. Just making sure that y'all are aware of what's going on in your child's school, and also for my students, especially for my high school scholars, when y'all go into college, to make sure y'all take advantage of every opportunity you get. Don't just go to college just to say, oh, I just went to college and got a degree, because that's something that I did, and I learned my lesson when it came to that, because when I graduated, I was stuck with these student loans. I didn't have a job. I'm drowning in debt. And so therefore, I was not in a position where I could provide for myself and actually give back to my community. So therefore, go to college, but also put yourself in a position where you can maintain yourself, like with a side hustle, some type of business. Therefore, you can generate wealth in your community, because we have to build up our own communities. Because as soon as we build up these Black communities and these Black families, that's when we're able to put ourselves and vote as well too. And that's when we're able to put ourselves in these positions where we can implement these policies to better our education. And then as soon as we get to the top and better our education system, that's where we have our soldiers. Then we have our soldiers ready to go out into the world and continue on that legacy for us. But it starts basically with our scholars now, just making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing to elevate their people.
And I'm gonna go to Jayden. You mentioned something. Listen, I have a bunch of degrees as Dr. Cole, and I love it. I worked hard for it. I owe 6 figures. All right, I owe over $100,000.
I do too.
Between the two of us, we owe more than $200,000, right? Because it was just certain things that we didn't know, right? Or those remedial classes and extra things I had to take, right?
That don't even count towards you graduating.
So we can do a whole other show with y'all, just giving out that game. Jayden, what do you want to lead these people with? I'll capture it in the notes for you, brother.
For sure. So what I have to say is, if you're like your youth, or if you have a child who is youth, for all our viewers, really encourage them to speak up and like really ask them how they really feel about just everything, honestly. And if you're white, or you're not a minority, what I want you to do is acknowledge systematic racism. Please acknowledge that it exists. Please do your research. Please acknowledge that it exists, because that will be the first step. And then now we can end up solving it. And then you got to hear us complain no more, as I know you guys don't like that. But anyways, really, it's this entire time, these situations, the COVID-19, like the George Floyd situation. I really just want everybody to stay safe, honestly. Like, I value human life more than anything. So
that was beautiful. Zaria, I will take the notes for you. What do you want to leave these people with? And thank you all so much for just being here. And Zaria, I know that you're from a different place and you jumped in with the Oakland boys, but we appreciate you. What you want to leave us with? Give us that wisdom. Wait, somebody got some feedback or something. It's all good. Let's keep it going.
Well, it sounded like a train or something. But yeah, I really want to say that, like, what was that quote that says silence is betrayal? If you know that there's a problem. Like, it's obvious to see that there's a problem. Don't sit back and not do anything about it. Like, there's always something you can do, whether it's donate or go to a protest, sign petitions, like, do something. Don't sit back and just watch and let the problem just keep escalating until things get even worse than what they are now. And also, with like sort of mental health, parents, check in on your kids, please. Speaking from experience, please check in on your kids. Make sure they are really doing okay.
Check in on them about what? Say that a little. Go on the detail. Just what do you mean?
Like, it's most kids will make it obvious if there's something bothering them. Like, check in on how they're really feeling about a certain situation. Like, don't just push their feelings to the side because you think like what you're doing is like the best thing to do for them. Get their input about it.
Did I write it how you? Is that what you're trying to say? I want to make sure I get your note out there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All good. All good. People, we're at the end of the hour. I just want to thank everybody for being here. Zaria, I love that you came, and with the energy that you came, you had a whole fan club. So when you get a chance, go back and check the comments. It was a lot of sister love out there, you know. And Jayden, I'm just so proud of you, man. I'm proud of your maturity, your leadership. I can always count on you. And I'm really, really sad that you can't count on the adults the way that we counting on you. It's not okay. Marquise, you are an amazing, amazing educator. It takes a different level of courage and a different level of humility to tell people, don't trust us solely. Don't do that. Like, I'm going to do the best I can, but this your baby. You know, I'm going to do my job, but I want you to know this is what you need. You know what I'm saying? I want to just put that out there. And in closing, man, you know, this is why we built Energy Converters. Like, we built it to be a platform for young people to get their voices out, to learn how to do research, to learn about entrepreneurship, to learn what they want to learn and be able to tell their stories. Our history books do not reflect us. They don't show us that we can be whatever we want to be. You know what I mean? It's not. But I'm here to tell you that you can. Y'all are brilliant. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. And you got to push us. If you got to drag us, if you got to yell at us, if you got to shame us, if you got to scream at us, if you got to take it to the streets, like, do it because you the people that got to live with it. I am paying for the sins of my parents. I'm paying for the sins of the adults, the teachers that I had that did not prepare me properly. You know, when we talk about that debt that we straddled in and what we can and can't do, somebody wasn't doing this for us. They wasn't looking out for us, you know, in the same way. So as long as you got air in your lungs, keep yelling. Anything else you want to say before I close us out?
Just always remember, dog, we moving in a system that was not designed for us. So it's just like, just keep persevering through, stick to your purpose, and just accomplish the mission and make it happen.
Listen, y'all come from a great people. Y'all come from some of the brightest, smartest, most amazing people. And I posted this, and I also said this in a video. I think Jayden saw it and liked it. When we do our own thing, whether it's movies and music and culture and clothes and all that stuff, we lead the world. We represent less than 14% of all the people in the country, all right? You less than 20% of all people, all Americans, yet we lead the world in culture. When we chase and we beg people that don't love us to love us, when we have to be stuck in their schools, when we got to be stuck in their financial systems and we don't have our own, we always bring up the rear. We bring up the rear in education. We bring up the rear in financial freedom. We bring up the rear even when we pass money down to our kids. The studies show that our Black folks will lose it within that next generation, right? Like Marquis said, this system wasn't built to work for us. It's working how it's supposed to, but it wasn't built to work for us. And somebody got to be honest with y'all about it. I love y'all. Thank you so much. For Zaria, for Jayden, for Marquise, I am Dr. Charles Cole. We hope that you've enjoyed this call, and hopefully we can do it again. I would love to do it each week. Zaria, you are more than welcome anytime with us. Jayden, you already know, bro. And with that being said, have a good night. Please stay safe, and God bless. Peace.